thanks for coming. And, it's a great turnover, and I would like to invite Mr. Dennis Mosi. And I would like to say, can you put your phones on mute? Don't mind, please. And today program is going to start. Dr. Kotta Shekaran Garu is going to introduce about NATS, and he's going to talk about Dennis, Mr. Dennis, what he's done and what is his career and all those things. After then, we're going to do a seminar by Dennis. Then that's going to start at 11 to 12, and 12 to 1 is going to be question and answers. Please keep your question and answers between 12 and 1 and note it down, and then we can ask it. Let him complete the first hour of the seminar, what he can able to explain us what is a living trust and why we need to have a trust, why we need to have a well, why we need to have a estate planning and all those things. Keep all the questions between 12 and 1. And we have enough time, almost like an hour time we provided for them, for question and answers. And I would like to say thanks for all you guys coming here, and I will welcome Dr. Shekaran Kotta Garu to introduce about NATS, and he's going to talk about Dr. Dennis. Dennis.
Thank you, Srinivas. Good morning, everyone. I will speak in English because we have some friends who cannot understand Telugu. This is a local chapter, NATS, Telugu Society. Most of you may know about the organization. One of the most progressive, advancing organization to take care of the interests of Telugu people in this country. There are very unique challenges for the immigrants. Those are the issues taken up by NATS. NATS' main goal is, it's like a platform where anybody interested in some community programs, they can come to the program, and the NATS will provide the facilities to either take up a project in the US or in Andhra, back in India. And because a lot of youngsters, they have very interesting ideas to some community, but as an individual, we cannot do much. But as a group, we can do more. That's what is happening with NATS. Different skills, either it can be, maybe a clean water in the village back home, or some program to help kids in the US, or for about Telugu language, or culture, or social issues, or family issues, immigration issues, different aspects where we cannot get that information individually, but as a collectively, as a group, we can get that information. That's what's happening. And interestingly, Tampa is the birthplace for NATS. This is where we started. A lot of volunteers from here. We did our first program in Orlando. That's where we started. And then it picked up momentum. A lot of youngsters with a progressive mind, they joined, they brought their skills, and it's been growing very good. Several chapters throughout the country. It's a very wonderful thing. Local chapter we started very recently. It just happened. So Maladi and it's a whole team is working very good, tirelessly. And this is the first program, and it's going to be a lot of programs like this. It will be very helpful for everybody. So please support, bring your friends. As a group, we can do a lot of interesting programs of common goal. Now, about this event today, this morning, every family worth of something needs a worthy planning. So most of us we miss it because of different reasons. The main reason could be ignorance. The second one is not paying much attention. North America Telugu Society took initiative as a local chapter to bring in such information. I commend Madali Srinivas and also his team in Tampa to make this happen. And I'm sure we have a lot of programs like this in future. As saying goes, hear straight from the horse mouth. So now we hear straight from Dennis Moses. Attorney Dennis Moses received MBA from the University of Florida. He received a certificate in banking from Graduate School of Banking of the South at Louisiana State University. Dennis was Executive Vice President of Sun Bank, and he worked for 13 years. He received his Juris Doctorate degree from Stetson University in Tampa. After law school, Dennis joined in law firm Jordan Jenkins PA and concentrated his practice in the areas of commercial litigation, bankruptcy, family law, and appeals. He later joined the law firm of Joseph Pippin Jr., concentrating his practice in the areas of wills, trust, estate planning, and real estate. Dennis is a member of Florida Bar, the Innsborough County Bar Association, and the American Bar Association. He was a former director of Jeffrey Hills Chamber of Commerce and past chairman of East Pasco Medical Center Board of Trustees. Dennis is currently a member of the Rotary Club of Jeffrey Hills and was the president for 92 to 93 years. And that's his expertise, and he's going to share this morning. And as Mandali said, after that we'll have a question and answer session where you can clarify whatever you have in mind, and let's have a good planning for good family. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Does this mean I'm done?
That's a welcome
Questions? Thank you much. Well, good morning. I guess I'm the horse. I hear from the horse's mouth. What a good group. So friendly, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you here this morning. It's certainly an honor to be speaking with you. I don't plan on going for 2 hours. I think probably we're going to wrap this up in an hour, including questions and answers. This is an educational format. I want everybody to take away something from this seminar. We're here to learn. The only language I do speak is English, so I apologize. Hopefully everybody can be with me in that. But yeah, we want this to be informal. If you have questions, please ask. That's what we're here for. But I always enjoy talking about the topic of estate planning because everybody that I speak to falls into one of 3 categories. The first category would be those folks that have a will. There's a primary estate planning document. How many of you have wills? You fall into that category. Quite a few of you do. The second category would be those folks that have a living trust. We have some living trusts, we do. What's the third category? Those that have what? Nothing, right? You don't need to raise your hands. But of the wills, the trust, the do-nothings, which one do you think is the most popular? Yeah, the do-nothings. You realize about 60% of the people in this country have done absolutely nothing in planning for the distribution of their estate, upon their death. And I see so many young people too, and they say, well, I don't have anything. Well, you got young children, don't you? Aren't those your most important assets? And my goodness, things happen unfortunately in life, things that we don't foresee, but it's nice to be able to plan and choose who we want to take care of our children and everything, if something were to happen to us. So regardless what the age is, something definitely is better than nothing. But let's talk about, everybody have a handout? Yes. Everybody have one? We have some more back here. And I'll be speaking from that mostly. So let's talk about those 3 estate plans. Let's start with the do-nothing plan. A lot of you here today is in that category. What do we like? What are the advantages of doing nothing, right? Well, you don't have to come see me. You don't have to spend any money. There must be a lot of advantages because most people choose that estate plan. But all we're going to say about that estate plan, if you do nothing, the state of Florida will actually write your will for you. Believe it or not, it's not a very good will. It's not a will that I write frequently. Most people don't choose that will. So, the only thing we're going to say about that do-nothing plan, something definitely is better than nothing. So, that do-nothing plan, we don't like that, right? Second estate plan, wills. A lot of you here today have a will as your primary document. Now, what do we like about wills? Well, there's advantages of having a will. We can choose our person that we want to settle our estate if we were to pass on. You know, we have some choice over who that person can be. In Florida, where they're called executors, personal representatives, there's some requirements who can serve as an executor of a will. You know, if you have somebody that's related to you by blood, you know, son, daughter, niece, nephew, mom, dad, you can trace that blood connection. You know, that person can serve as your executor. Obviously, you know, your spouse can serve as your executor. And if you don't have any of those, somebody that's a resident of the state of Florida can serve as your executor. So blood relative, spouse, or they're not related in any way, you know, they need to be a resident of the state of Florida. What else do we like about wills? Well, believe it or not, wills don't cost a whole lot of money. You know, in fact, if you were to come to me and say, Dennis, you know, I want a will, that's all I want. You know, we charge you $125 to write a will. Not a lot of money, but it does a lot, you know, in the event something would have happened to us. However, wills do have some disadvantages. And on a poster sheet that that was handed out to you, you can see what they are in the middle of the page. What's the number one disadvantage of having a will?
Probate.
Probate. Why do most people not like probate? Yeah, it takes a long time and what? Yeah, it costs an awful lot of money. In fact, there's a chart on the bottom of that poster sheet that shows different estate sizes, average probate fees according to estate size. You know, some of you may say you don't have a very large estate. Others of you may say that you do. But no matter what the size of your estate, it's going to cost a lot of money. And where does all that money go? Yeah, attorneys, right? Why do you want to pay your attorneys all that money in probate fees and everything? And it's thousands and thousands of dollars, but most people end up, it's what they want to do for some reason, and all that can be avoided. And everybody know what probate process is?
No.
Okay, you know, stop me if I start going on to where I need to go back. Probate, if somebody dies with assets in their name alone, or they don't have any beneficiaries, then those assets have to go through the courts, they have to go through the probate process. So if somebody dies with a will or nothing, you know, if we already talked about if somebody dies with nothing, the state of Florida writes the will, it's a statutory will. So we have to probate Florida's will. If somebody dies with a will, we need to probate that will. And it's a lengthy process. Again, it costs a lot of money, but what actually happens, the personal representative signs a petition that the judge says is okay. You know, this person can now be the personal representative of the estate, and we can go ahead and issue letters of administration and begin this whole probate process. So the executor would take these letters of administration to whoever holds the assets, you know, the banks, the brokers, letters of administration. If there's real estate to sell, that gives the executor, the personal representative, the ability to do all of that. And meanwhile, we have to publish in the newspaper for 90 days, give any creditors the opportunity to come in and, you know, stake a claim on the estate. And if we know creditors, you know, we have to put them on notice and everything, that's so they have an opportunity to come forward. You know, and if there's assets sufficient to pay all the creditors, you know, that's what's done. And then after the 90 days, you know, if there's no objections or anything from everybody's put on notice, we can start beginning to close the estate. Sometimes real estate's hard to sell or whatever, and, you know, it could take a long time. Some things can take years. And by the end of the probate process, then the judge finally issues an order saying, okay, we're done now. We have given an accounting to all the beneficiaries, because the beneficiaries in the will, or the beneficiaries in Florida's will, the statutory will, you know, needs to be kept on notice and needs to be aware of what's going on, and that's a court-approved accounting. Our home, you know, real estate, all of that gets retitled to the trust. Anybody own a home up north and a home here? That's where a living trust really works well. Say I owned a home up in New York, and I owned another home right here in Tampa, and I were to die, what happens? It'd be two probates, one in New York, one here, because real estate is probated in the state in which it is situated. So you look at all those probate attorneys' fees now you got two states going and the time that it takes. But by deeding both properties into the trust, we can actually eliminate probate in all states. And I see so many times one of the children comes in and hands me a deed. Well, the house was never in the trust. Well, that's a shame, because, you know, now the home's a probate item. You know, that's a $3,000 to $4,000 expense when all that can be avoided. And it's just such an easy thing. And some people say, well, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my homestead exemption or whatever. No, you don't lose your homestead exemption. In fact, when we prepare a deed, generally we don't even record it. So we end up putting the home in the trust. We generally just tell our clients to just hold on to that deed with your other documents, and if you were to die, we would record at that point in time. That way, it doesn't become a public record. Maybe there's people out there that sees the word trust equates with assets, whatever. There's no need to record it at this point in time, so nobody knows anything about it. But it's there. But back to the pour-over will. Say there's an account out there. Should have been in the trust. Never got to the trust. And we were to die. Well, upon death, that account would actually pour over from the will. It'll get to the trust. But if it goes through the will, it still goes through what? Probate. That's exactly right. So that's why it's important, when it's all said and done, with your attorney's help, if you have a financial advisor, that we get all these assets in the name of the trust, so that the will's only used for personal items and vehicles, and there's no probate on those. So vehicles don't need to go into the trust. There's no probate. All the executor in the will has to do is take the title, the death certificate, and the will up to the tag agency, and they'll go ahead and transfer the vehicle without having to go through probate. And in Florida, we own a bunch of stuff, right? Have stuff, watches, and personal items. In Florida, how we handle all of that, we have an attachment to the will. Whether it's a regular will, whether it's a pour-over will, it's called a separate writing. For any personal items we have, jewelry, antiques, knickknacks, china, anything of a personal nature. If we list all that stuff in our will and things change, then we got to redo our will all the time. So Florida lets us use the separate writing so that we can keep these things updated, as we go along the rest of our life, and we don't have to keep running back to the attorney to do that. So that's the pour-over will. And as long as I'm there, because I usually get a question by now, well, what if I put my children's names on my accounts, bank accounts, investment accounts? Is that a good idea? No, not really. I don't like that idea. No, what happens if I have my bank accounts, and I have my daughter's name on there? One wrong turn out of the parking lot when I leave, smack into somebody. Guess what? I'm going to be sued now, right? Or better yet, say with my daughter's on my accounts, and she gets in an accident. Guess what? If I got her name on my accounts, they can come after what I thought was mine. But the argument is it must not all be mine because I put her name on as a joint owner. Not a good idea. And what better place to go looking for assets? Let's go see where mom and dad banks. Let's get a financial statement on them. Let's see, how everything's titled. Again, the better idea is get the assets in the name of the trust, and then upon death, all the successor trustee has to do, take the trust agreement, the death certificate, to the banks, the brokers, whoever holds all the assets, gather everything up, distribute them, and everything's done. Works so much better.
Thank you, Dennis. This is an excellent information session. I would like to mention one of our unique situations is where most of us here have assets in India or foreign. How these foreign assets fit into this living trust?
How does what fit in?
The foreign assets, the assets over in India.
Yeah, if you had assets back in India, you really ought to.
If a couple are both beneficiaries in starting the irrevocable trust, if they both, let's say, perish, what happens to the trust? Does the trust get dissolved, or the beneficiaries of the trust automatically inherit the trust?
Well, on behalf of NATS, it's my privilege to give a vote of thanks speech. NATS extends a very heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to Mr. Dennis Moses, who has given his valuable time to this very informative seminar. Thank you, sir. I also sincerely thank the guest invitees for taking some of your valuable time, weekend time especially, and to attend the seminar, and I hope it's very educational and useful for all of you. As events like this can't happen by themselves, I would like to thank a few people. Firstly, I want to thank a very important person, Mr. Srinivas Malladi, for his leadership in to make this event happen. I thank Mr. Srinivas Nanapaniga and the advisory board committee who came up with excellent and important suggestion of having a will and trust seminar for the community, especially for the Indian immigrant community. to know the law of the land and how to secure the finances for the loved ones. Special thanks to Mr. Shyam Tengarada and all his event management services team for the event setup and organizing this event so wonderfully. Thank you. I thank Mr. Ramesh Kohli and his PR team for coordinating with guest registrations today. Thank you. I also thank Mr. Ugandar Mahagala and his web committee team for handling the event registration, and Mr. Sudhir Mikilneni, who volunteered to capture today's wonderful moments. Thank you. Also, I thank Mr. Adi Kantapuri and his social service team for volunteering their time to help this event. Lastly, but most importantly, we at NATS Tampa Bay chapter would like to thank Mr. Srinivas Guttakonda, NATS chairman. He wanted to be here today, but because of prior commitments, he couldn't attend. Mr. Sekam Kotta, NATS National Advisory Board, and Mr. Prashant Phenamaneni, NATS Board of Director, for the kind guidance to make our trust event go smoothly. Thank you.